All right, let's run through the WordPress dashboard. So this is what you're going to see when you log into your WordPress website. This is the WordPress dashboard. What I'm going to do is tell you about the admin bar first, and then we're going to go down that vertical menu that you see on the left-hand side of the screen. So at the top of the screen where you see the WordPress logo and then the home icon, we can press that home icon to visit the site, or we can just click visit the site. And you can see the name of our website there, which for me is landing because I'm creating a landing page website. And then you can see we have a comments button that can show you the comments that have been made on your blog posts. And then one of the most important parts of the WordPress dashboard is this new button, which once again is in the admin bar, which is the horizontal bar that goes across the top of the screen when you are logged into your WordPress website. Once again, that new button is there. It's very important because you can create any new content using this new button here. What you want to do is hover over the new button, and then you can move the mouse down to create a new post, a new media item, or other things. And last but not least, at the right-hand side of the admin bar is the user area. So you can hover over that to click on Edit Profile or Log Out. Okay, so that wraps up the admin bar. And by the way, sometimes when you add a new plugin, it can add a new icon or a new button in the admin bar, but we will cover that later. So now that we're done with the admin bar, now let's cover the main WordPress menu. And once again, that's the menu that runs vertically on the left-hand side of the page, and it starts with the dashboard menu item. So this dashboard home will basically tell you what version of WordPress you're using. It'll give you this site health status right here. And it gives you some useful and some not so useful little widgets, you might call them, in here. And if you wanted to, you could click on screen options in the top right corner of the page, and then you can uncheck some boxes if you want to hide those. We really don't typically spend much time in this dashboard home page. But what we're going to do is move on to this updates area underneath dashboard. So the updates area, as you can see, this contains any updates that we need to make to any of our plugins or to the WordPress core files themselves or to a theme that you may have installed. You can see that this is the current version of our WordPress. If we wanted to, we could reinstall WordPress here. And then it checks to see if we have any updates available for plugins or themes that we have installed. If we did, they would be visible here, and you could check the box and click Update Plugin. We'll cover that in a different video. Okay, moving on to the next main dashboard menu item, which is Posts. So go ahead and click on Posts, and you can see this is a list of all the blog posts that we have created in our website. And our fresh WordPress website starts off with one empty blog post called Hello World. That's just a sample blog post. And since we can manage our blog posts here, we could add a new post by clicking on this Add New Post button right here. And that's just a second way that we could add a new post, because if you recall from earlier in the admin bar, if you hover over the word new, we can create a new post just like that. So from the posts management area, this is a second way that we could create a new post. This button does the exact same thing as the new post button in the admin bar. So we can add a new post that way. We can search the content of our posts here if we want to find a particular post. And then we have this bulk actions menu. This is pretty cool because we can edit many blog posts at one time. So let's say, for example, we wanted to change the category that a blog post is in, or actually wanted to change the category that several blog posts are in. We could check all of the boxes for the posts that we want to change, and then click the bulk actions menu, click edit, and then click apply. And then we could edit all of those blog posts at once and change the category for all those posts all at once. So that's just an example of how to use the bulk actions menu. And in addition to that, in this row, we have some filters just so we can filter out whatever posts we want to view here and click on filter. Last but not least, we have these little buttons up here where we can view all blog posts or just the published blog posts. And if we had a draft blog post, there would be a button that we could use to click on just the drafts. So that's just kind of a lengthy explanation of how to use the posts area of the WordPress dashboard. And as you can see underneath posts in the left-hand side, there's that button Add New Post. So that is a third way that we could create a new blog post in addition to the second way of this button at the top of the screen here and the first way of the new post button in the admin bar. So after the add new post button, we have categories, so we can click on that. And this just lets us manage our categories that our blog posts can be categorized into. So an example of a category that you might make would be breaking news articles. And for the slug, you just do all lowercase and no spaces with a dash instead of spaces like this. Breaking news. So we can just make that slug like this, all lowercase and with no spaces. If we want, we can choose a parent category. I'm not going to. We can create a description, and then we can click on Add New Category. You can see that new category right up here. Now, when we create a new blog post, we could put that new blog post into that breaking news articles category. So that's just a quick rundown of how to manage your categories underneath posts. And then just like categories, we have tags, but these are just more like hashtags as opposed to categories. So this is something that you might use to describe a blog post, such as the word fun. Okay, so anyway, that's tags. We don't have to spend much time on that. So that pretty much wraps up the posts area of the admin screen in WordPress. So that pretty much wraps up the posts area of the WordPress dashboard. Now let's move on to media. So after you click on media, it takes us to the media library. And I have a new WordPress website, so there's no media. So let's go ahead and click on Add New Media at the top of the screen. And by the way, we could also do the same thing by hovering over the word new at the top of the screen and then click on media. So we're just creating a new media item here. Let's go ahead and click on Select Files. And then let's go ahead and select a media item to upload. It uploads that. And now that the media is uploaded, let's click on Library under Media. And now you can see the new media item that we uploaded right there. So we can click on that if we want to view that. It tells us details about this item. If we wanted to, we could click on Copy URL to Clipboard to directly access the upload that we just uploaded. So that's a pretty basic rundown of how you can use the media uploader, the media library. And you do want to become familiar with this part of the WordPress dashboard because you'll have to use this anytime you want to upload an image or a video to your website. And we'll talk about this more later because the easiest way to upload media is typically from within a blog post that you're already creating. So we'll talk about that later. Okay, moving on from media, let's go to pages. So under pages, first we have all pages. You can see that we have some sample pages that have been created for me here. And just like the posts area, this area lets you manage the pages of your WordPress website as opposed to the posts. And if you're wondering what the difference is between pages and posts, you can think of that as basically posts are the more temporary content that would basically be like a blog post. Like an example of a good blog post might be something like a news update for your business. Like, hey, this is our weekly update that we're putting out. It's like a newsletter. That's an example of something you'd want to make a blog post. In contrast, a page is a more permanent piece of content on your website. An example of a good page would be Contact Us. Core pages of your website, you want those to be actual pages in WordPress, not blog posts. So when you're building your WordPress site, if you're not sure whether to make something a post or a page, if it's going to be an actual web page like Contact Us or About Us, it's going to be a page. But once again, if it's going to be something like a little news article that you put out, then that's going to be a post. So knowing that, this pages area is just like the posts area. It behaves just the same way. We can create a new page with this button up here. We can create a new page with the new button in the admin bar. We can just click on New Page, and we can click on Add New Page in the main menu over here. So there's 3 ways to create a new page. And then we have pretty much all the same buttons that we had in the posts management area, which is all, publish, and draft. And then we have bulk actions, which I briefly overviewed. So let's move on from pages. We're going to talk about creating pages more in a different video. So from pages, we're going to go to comments. This is pretty self-explanatory because a built-in feature of WordPress is to allow people to post comments on your blog posts. And these days, that is not too common for people to enable on their WordPress website for various reasons. So most people don't spend too much time in this part of the WordPress dashboard, but you should know that it's here in case you do want to work with comments on your website. So we'll talk more about comments later. And now let's move on to the appearance part of the dashboard. And this is basically where you can manage your theme. And the theme is just the collection of images and fonts and different arrangement of items and elements on your web page to give it a certain look. And that's the main thing that's going to dictate how your WordPress website looks, is the theme that you choose. So this can be one of the most important parts of building your WordPress website properly, is choosing a good theme. So that's why you want to be familiar with this appearance part of the WordPress dashboard, is because the themes area is in here. And by default, a new WordPress website is going to have some really basic theme called 20 something, just like you see here on my screen. But if you wanted to add a new theme, which you pretty much always do, you can just click on Add New Theme at the top of the screen here. And then under Search Themes, you can search for a popular theme such as Astra. And then you can hover over that theme, click on that theme to get a preview and the details and the ratings of this theme. And you pretty much always want to go with a popular theme that's been highly rated. So if you wanted to install this theme, you can click on that Install button at the top of the page there. Or you can go back, hover over this theme and click on Install. We'll go ahead and install a theme in a different video. For now, you can know that you can mess around with different themes here. You can try different themes. Just know that if your website is already well established and you're working with an existing WordPress website that's already set up, and you install a new theme, that could change the look and feel of the website. So just be careful about that. And in addition to the themes part of appearance, we have editor. We're going to talk more about this later. For now, we'll go back to the WordPress dashboard, and then we're going to move on from appearance to plugins. The plugins area is one of the most important parts of the WordPress dashboard. And that's because plugins are essential to the power and flexibility of WordPress. So the basic WordPress software doesn't really do a whole lot of advanced functionality, but that's where plugins come in. You can think about plugins like apps for your phone. WordPress plugins can extend the functionality of your website to do just about anything. So for example, under plugins, we can just click on Add New Plugin. And then under search plugins, we can type in something like email marketing, for example. And then we can see all of the plugins, of which there are over 1,000 that return with the keyword email marketing. And you can see that there are tons of plugins just related to this one topic, and you can see what these plugins do. So if you wanted to try out a plugin, you can just press Install Now for that plugin, and you can try that plugin. Some examples of types of plugins that you should know about are security plugins, such as WordFence, but I'll cover that in a different video. There are also some amazing backup plugins for WordPress that completely back up your website or allow you to migrate your website onto a completely different web host or a different domain name. Know that you can do that for free using a backup plugin, and I'll cover the best backup and migration plugins in a different video. But just so you know, plugins such as Updraft Plus are the best backup plugins that are super easy to use, and that's free. It's just a matter of clicking that Install Now button and then using the plugin. Okay, we could talk all day about plugins, but let's move on to the next area, which is users. So let's go ahead and click on users. And this is just a place to manage our users in a similar way that we were able to manage our pages and our posts. It just gives us a list of our users here. It gives us some filters, some buttons, some bulk actions, and it gives us a menu to change a user's role. So that's pretty cool, but that's pretty self-explanatory, pretty intuitive. Just know that you can add a new user by clicking this Add New User button here, or there's this Add New User button at the top of the page, or you can hover over the word New in the admin bar and click on New User. So 3 different ways to add a new user. Okay, getting close to wrapping up the WordPress dashboard, we have the Tools menu. So if we scroll down in the main admin menu here, we can just check out some of the tools that are here, such as Site Health. So we can click on Site Health, and it gives us some security recommendations and health recommendations to make our website healthier. It has 2 improvements recommended for us, which is For example, you should remove inactive themes and disk space available to safely perform updates. So anyway, it's just going to give us some site health recommendations. You can choose to follow those if you'd like. And then we have some other options in the tools menu here, such as theme file editor and plugin file editor. If you are a developer, then you can go ahead and go to theme file editor and plugin file editor. If you are not a coder, don't even touch those because you could break something. So moving on to the last menu item in the WordPress dashboard is the settings area. So this is one of the most important parts of the dashboard because we have some very important settings in here, such as site title. So you can change the title of your website. And once again, that site title appears all over your WordPress website, such as in the admin bar right here. You can add a tagline to your website. You can change the admin email address. We have some membership options. You should not mess with this unless if you know exactly what you're doing. And that goes the same for this new user default role. Do not change that unless you know exactly what you're doing. You can change the time zone, the date format, and then don't forget if you change something, go ahead and click Save Changes. So after the general part of the settings menu in the WordPress dashboard, we have writing. This is where you can change stuff pertaining to creating new blog posts, such as the default post category that a blog post is put into. You will probably never need to use this area, post via email, so let's skip past that. Same with update services, don't even mess with that. So let's move on to the reading settings part of the WordPress dashboard. And this is very important because this is where you can choose what your homepage displays, whether it just displays a list of your blog posts, or if you want that to display a static page, which is 99% of the time what people want to do. So this is something that you can change. More about this later, because typically you would want to just choose a theme that has an automatically imported demo content that will automatically change this setting for you and import a homepage for you and everything. So you might not even need to change this setting, but it's good for you to know about this. For example, if you're wondering why your homepage is just displaying a bunch of blog posts, this could be the reason. And just like selecting your homepage, you can select the page that serves as the placeholder or the area for your blog posts to actually be displayed. So when I go to create my website, this homepage option here will probably end up saying home right here in this menu selection. And then the post page will probably say something like blog or something, but we're going to take a look at that later. Other than that, you can just customize the look of the blog post display in your website. So let's go ahead and move on. After that, we have the discussion part of settings. These are settings that pertain to comments on your blog posts. Let's go ahead and take another look at this later because most people don't spend time on the comments. So let's move on to the media settings. You typically do not want to change anything in here, so I'm going to move on to the permalinks settings. And this is something that you should know about because there's one format that is ideal for SEO and for Google to index your website. That is that default format called post name. So you just want to make sure your website uses this format. And that's the default format, so you probably don't need to change anything at all in here. Let's go ahead and move on to the privacy settings. And this allows you to create a privacy page on your site. So that is a wrap up of the WordPress dashboard. That gives you an idea of all of the menu items that you can expect to see in your WordPress website. And by the way, after your WordPress website is up and running and you have a bunch of plugins installed, you've made a bunch of blog posts, you've made a bunch of changes, your WordPress dashboard is going to change. It's going to have some new items that correspond to some of the plugins that you install and maybe even the theme that you install. So right now I'm showing you the admin bar for a developed WordPress site that has a bunch of plugins installed on it already. And you can see that some of these menu items do not exist in the other site that we were just looking at. For example, SiteKit, that's a plugin by Google that allows you to connect your website to the Google search crawler. And then we have WooCommerce, which is a plugin for e-commerce. We have Elementor, which is a free page builder. And then we have Astra, which is just an area for the specific theme that I have installed, the Astra theme. So anyway, the point is that once you install plugins and stuff on your website, you're going to get some new menu items. So don't worry if your WordPress dashboard looks different than the one that we were just working with that's very minimal, that only has maybe 9 or 10 different menu items. So that's a wrap up of the WordPress dashboard. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. If you need help, don't be afraid to reach out. I want to help you understand this fully. And don't worry, this is like riding a bike. So every time you are exposed to this WordPress dashboard, is going to become a little bit more familiar. And after being exposed to it 100 times, it's going to be way, way familiar. So just a tip, try not to get overwhelmed with the WordPress dashboard. Try and start out focusing on the basics, which is create a new blog post, create a new page, upload a new media item, such as an image, by going to New Media. That's it for this tutorial. I hope you have fun, enjoy. Let me know if you need help, and have fun learning.